people don't realize why Satoshi Nakamoto was anonymous in the first place, because any founder who competed with the US dollar went to prison, and why blockchain was kind of neat. Like, it wasn't just a fun invention for no purpose, even though it was great. It was built out of necessity. Mining was built out of necessity because you had to have it be distributed, because you couldn't have a centralized warehouse of silver and gold or servers to run this thing, because they would get shut down and seized by the government.
It's Thursday, August 15th, and this is Markets Daily, hosted by me, Jen Sanasi. On this show, we navigate the currents shaping the crypto markets, providing insights against the broader financial landscape. So, whether you're actively trading or simply fascinated by the volatility of crypto markets, this show is your compass to understanding what's happened, where we are, and where we're going. Good morning, everyone. Our guest today is the founder of FinFund, Erik Finman, who's also known as one of the youngest Bitcoin millionaires. He joins the show now. Erik, welcome.
Thank you so much for having me on. It's a pleasure.
I'm so curious to hear, as someone who got into Bitcoin all those years ago, when it comes to the crypto markets, what are you watching this morning?
Well, I guess what am I watching, or how do I learn about crypto, and how do I follow up with things? I mean, Twitter. I think a lot of people use Twitter. I love Twitter. It is my number one thing that I use, or I guess X now. It's hard for me to say Twitter, or say X instead of Twitter and everything. But yeah, I mean, I don't know if that's the most unique thing in the world. When I first started hearing about kind of Bitcoin in the first place, all the way back in 2011, there was a lot of great BTC forums at the time. And that was always, those were kind of the bad old days, if you will. Those were kind of my favorite days. Although I'm one of the youngest in the space, those were kind of the just 10 plus years ago. So I feel like I'm speaking like an old man. Oh, I miss the old
You were
BTC
also,
forum days.
I just need to say, like, when we're talking about 2011, you were also like 12 years old at that
I
time
was. I
doing your
was
due
12.
diligence.
I was doing my due diligence. Nobody knew I was 12 on these forums, and I'm glad they didn't, and everything. But that was kind of the old days of it feels like back when Steve Jobs and Bill Gates were working on like the Altair computer and like the Apple II, and those were kind of the days. So I miss those days in many ways.
Tell me a little bit more about that due diligence aspect when you're looking at an investment now, especially in the crypto markets, especially when you are getting a lot of information on X. How do you do that due diligence? How do you decide where you're going to put your money?
So I also do, in addition to crypto, kind of investing in other altcoins and everything. I also do a couple angel investments in startups as well. So this applies to both things for me. Is I like to talk to the founder if I can, and or at least hear from the founder. And when it comes to hiring, when it comes to startup angel investments, when it comes to investing in let's say an altcoin, I tend to invest in the weirdos and misfits. I consider myself as someone at least from birth, has always been someone from the island of misfit toys, and I'm a little weird and I'm a little crazy, and so I like to find other people that are weird, misfits, crazy, and so I look for that. Obviously not in a way where anyone's malicious or bad, but in a way that they're a little crazy. And so that's kind of what I look forward to, is someone that is willing to think outside the box. People in tech and crypto, they always say, oh, we want people who think outside the box and we want different people, but that's just absolutely not true. That's just absolutely not true. They have a set person, a set project, a set type of coin marketing or coin product style that's in their heads, and they look for that, something that's safely in the box but seems like it's outside of the box. I try to find projects and people that are pretty different and have ideas that I've never thought of before. And that's kind of what I look for when I look for in a project. And the best place to find those people is to reach out to the founder, or to see what the founder has written over the years, and or how they're implementing and talking about their project today.
That's interesting. I've heard a similar story from other investors we've had on the show. Sometimes they do look for the more traditional founder with the experience and the exits, but depending on the project, I have heard, sometimes you need that person who really is just thinking very differently than others. And that's what I hear you saying there when you talk about the weirdos and the misfits. Are you talking about people who really have a belief in something that is so systemically different than what we are experiencing today that they come off as a weirdo and a misfit? Is that what you're saying?
That's exactly what I'm saying. So yeah, they're not actually weirdos or misfits, but if you are different, if you think different, if you're a little bit insane in a good way, you come across insane and you come across different. And in a way that, but actually they're perfectly sane and they do great things. So, at FinFund, we try to find companies and projects like literally we have a monopoly. And as we grow, we're going to even have more of a monopoly on those weirdos and misfits. Like old people are great people to invest in. People that have worked at a company for decades. Like you get some people that are worked at a company for decades and maybe they're stuck in that mindset. But actually, the majority of them are incredibly smart, and no one in Silicon Valley wants to give them money because they're 65. Right. And but yet they have many years left. A lot of them still have bite and they're smarter than most young people. Also, I got into Bitcoin when I was 12. I started my first company when I was 15. I exited that company when I was 17. Investing in like really, really young teenagers is also something that I do and have a monopoly on. And then, yeah, people who just sound different, people that are extreme right wing, extreme left wing, people don't want to invest in those because maybe it offends their politics in a certain way. I have my own politics, but I'm willing to invest in someone that's the complete opposite of me on that front, just if they have a great idea and a great project. And nobody's willing to do that. And that's where I think that I'm great. Like I first heard about Bitcoin, and it was a weird thing full of beautifully weird people, and I guess maybe I was one of them. And that's just really that kind of template has really set the stage for all my thinking in my life, in any projects that I do, projects that I invest in, people I hire, and people that I think are going to make the next big thing.
You said when you're looking at altcoins or projects to invest in, you look at the founder. And that's interesting to me because one of the foundational elements of this industry is anonymity or pseudonymity. I always
Hmm.
have such a hard time saying that word. But let's talk about that, because it seems like as Bitcoin, as crypto becomes more mainstream, as it becomes more mature, that anonymity part is kind of going away. And for your project to be really legit and sustainable, it is looking like you need to be a little bit more like a technical founder, like a normal technology founder, someone who's out there in the public, who's speaking on Twitter Spaces, who is attending conferences, who's talking loudly and proudly about their project. Have you witnessed that shift?
Yeah, I have witnessed that shift, and but no, I mean, when I talk about knowing someone, their username is good enough also for me. I mean, I have a friend, kind of a pseudo friend, not a best friend, but I've known him for like 6, 7 years, and I don't know his real name. Like, I just know his username. I've met him in real life too. I don't even know his real name. His username kind of sounds like a name, so like I kind of go like maybe it's his real name, but like I thought about it the other day. I'm like, actually, I don't think that maybe is his real name. So when I talk about knowing a founder, being pseudo anonymous is fine. And then back in the day, like the reason why Satoshi Nakamoto is anonymous is because pre Bitcoin, a lot of people, like again, I was a weird kid. I don't know how I got into this whole world, but it's like I was really obsessed with alternative currencies. And before Bitcoin, me and honestly, with the help of my older brother, he kind of was a mentor to me in the space in many ways. We're kind of obsessed with all these alternative currencies. And before Bitcoin, there was a lot of people trying to do alternative currencies. There was something called Liberty Dollar, which had like going to the silver and gold backed and currency, and then the founder had a warehouse of silver and gold where he would ship you like a $10 silver certificate, which looked like a $10 bill, which had like Ron Paul's face on it, and you could use that at different stores that accepted it, or you could redeem it with him for $10 worth of silver at his warehouse. That guy went to jail. Like that's why founders became. That's why Satoshi Nakamoto became anonymous, or was anonymous in the first place, because you would go to jail if you started an alternative currency. This was a law that was passed during the Civil War, which was very interesting. There was a lot of. I'm actually a collector of alternative currencies because before the Civil War, so the North banned any other type of currency to kind of help the economy and help raise money for funding that war. But I actually collect. There was a lot of alternative currencies before that, and I collect them, and it's so interesting. And then even after Liberty Dollar, people tried these hash-based digital currencies. Those people like were threatened with either getting shut down or jail. And that's why I think blockchain was kind of invented, because the federal government would seize your silver and gold warehouse if you tried to start an alternative currency that was based on the silver and gold, or they would, shut down and seize your servers if you were trying to run a centralized digital currency. And this was all before Bitcoin is invented. So, I think people don't realize why Satoshi Nakamoto was anonymous in the first place, because any founder who competed with the US dollar went to prison, and why blockchain was kind of neat. Like, it wasn't just a fun invention for no purpose, even though it was great. It was built out of necessity. Mining was built out of necessity because you had to have it be distributed, because you couldn't have a centralized warehouse of silver and gold or servers to run this thing, because they would get shut down and seized by the government. So, anyways, maybe a long-winded way to answer your question. But I love anonymous. I love pseudo anonymity. Sorry, it's early, and
Both of us are just struggling with that one word, but that's okay.
yes. But yeah, it's just such a I don't mind anonymous accounts. I don't mind anonymous accounts, but you can tell kind of the vibe and who that person kind of is, at least on a technical front, even if they do have an anonymous Twitter account.
Let's talk about portfolio allocation outside of Bitcoin. Give me 3 crypto assets that you are really interested in at the moment.
I think you have, obviously Bitcoin's a favorite, but I really like Monero. Monero is one of my favorites, just because of just how anonymous it is, and can be great. And obviously that can be used for bad things, which I don't use it for. But I just like that. Bitcoin is a little bit traceable. Monero really is, as much off the grid as you can get, at least of a cryptocurrency, at least that I'm aware of. I really like Monero. I'm an investor in Metal, MTL, so that's great. So totally shameless plug, totally biased for that. But there's a reason why I got into that. But yeah, that's kind of my favorite. I'd say the tried and true Bitcoin, Monero, because I do think that if you are someone that is being persecuted by a government, and you want to, like, I think this changes the kind of conversation on refugees. Not, because refugees can ordinarily not take their money with them. Now you can take your money on a USB stick and all your wealth with you. I mean, there's so many people that, Saddam Hussein, cracked down on money-wise, and all these rich people and smart people had to leave Iraq, because of leave Iraq with nothing, even though they were rich. And this kind of changes the conversation a little bit on that, because you can take your wealth with you, and then Monero you can take your wealth with you in a completely anonymous way. So I think that's amazing. I think that's a great technology.
That really is one of the original use cases for cryptocurrency, for Bitcoin more specifically, and Monero does amplify that. I'm happy you brought it up. I think in this industry sometimes we lose sight a little bit about some of the real human issues that some of this technology solves. So I'm really happy that you brought that up. Something else you brought up was the tension between government and decentralized finance. That tension still exists today in some way, shape, or form, with the regulatory hurdles that we're experiencing here in the United States. When you're looking at a project to invest in, are you taking that into consideration? Are you looking at projects that are based where there are more clear regulatory rules?
Um, so I did a bill. It was right before COVID, so it kind of died when COVID, and no one in Congress was listening to COVID. And it was it was called the Cryptocurrency Act of 2020, and CoinDesk has written about it, actually, and then a long time ago. And then and it was interesting. It was a Bill of Rights kind of for crypto blockchain based projects, and kind of identified different asset classes for those. And that was really incredible and really exciting. There's actually some people trying to resurrect it now, which is really cool. But yeah, I think that it is annoying in the United States that you have a unfriendly kind of environment for crypto companies with the current administration. And I think it is nice to have a clear, regulatory environment. And I hope the U.S. does that. I think if Trump gets in, that's one thing I think he's made clear that he will do. So that's exciting. And I know the people on his team that will do it. They're really competent, amazing, wonderful people. That is exciting for me. But at the same time, I think when Satoshi Nakamoto or wherever he is, first, he or she is, first got kind of invented Bitcoin in the first place, I think people kind of, at least I did at the time, I assumed it was going to be banned by the government. And Bitcoin and, ideally a lot of the better crypto projects are completely decentralized. So even if the US government cracked down, banned everything tomorrow, yeah, it would like, kind of nuke the market of it because so many kind of normal people wouldn't be able to get into it. But the purpose of these things was Bitcoin was invented, and a lot of these early cryptocurrencies were invented with kind of the idea that it was going to get banned and that it could exist anyways. So yes, I like to, if you're investing in a traditional kind of startup, you want to make sure, which has a centralized kind of hierarchy and infrastructure to it. Yeah, those people could be very easily shut down by the government, and you have to take that into account. But I'm hopeful, I guess, for the space that. So yes, for investing, maybe that does kind of impact my thinking. But the overall space, and I guess maybe I don't have to tell you or tell this audience, is that even if it was all completely shut down tomorrow, at least there was rules or laws that it was all shut down by tomorrow, it would still exist. So that's kind of hopeful in my opinion.
When you first invested in Bitcoin way back when you invested $1,000, you turned that into $1 million. If you were going to invest $1,000 into something today with a long-term view that that was going to make you the same return, I know this is complete speculation. It is not financial advice, but what would you put it in?
Um, I think I don't like to. I get asked this question. I don't like to answer it, but I will answer it for you because you're amazing.
Oh, thank you.
So there you go. You're special and you're wonderful. So, but yeah, I mean, I would say going back to my early answer of Monero. I think that, and again, not financial advice, blah blah blah, all the warning labels or whatever. But I think that has the potential to go up. Monero or Zcash have the potential to. Zcash kind of similar. Although Zcash a little less in honor, like you kind of know the people behind Zcash. So I guess I would say Monero on that front, because I think that if the U.S. were to ever, and I don't think the U.S. will ever get into like a really like the U.S. has fallen situation, but if there ever is a kind of global financial crisis times two that was experienced 2008, 2009, that is a place to make, very good money in my opinion. And also I don't like the casino culture that a lot of this crypto kind of space has become, which is why maybe in my answers I'm more kind of taking a more kind of political type answers to your questions. I got into Bitcoin because like I literally found out about Bitcoin. It was at a libertarian protest at the Jefferson Memorial, where you had some people were arrested for dancing at the Jefferson Memorial, like literally like George Floyd knee on the neck, literally head cracked on the marble. It is illegal to dance at Jefferson Memorial. Like four people danced quietly with their headphones on with their iPod way back in the day, and they got arrested and head, there's a video of it, head cracked on the granite or marble floor of the Jefferson Memorial. I mean, it's just crazy. And then thousands of us went to go dance the Jefferson Memorial, and they literally had riot police, Black Hawk helicopters with like a guy with a machine gun, like literally hanging Vietnam style on the side, circling like very low altitude. And they had riot police on horseback and everything. And then eventually things shot off, and then we all were running from the police, and then some guy had this orange shirt on with a B on it that looked like a dollar sign, and that's where I first heard about Bitcoin. And I asked what that was, and then he said he said it's Bitcoin, man. It's gonna end Wall Street, bro. And he ran off. And then I went and looked about Bitcoin. So that's kind of I think Monero kind of has that potential for upside, in my opinion, not financial advice. Because I think that is kind of the best, most kind of moral and ethical and right reason why that would shoot up. Because I think if the end of the world or some global financial crisis times two or some world crisis event, I think a lot of people would have to use Monero, and thus it would go up. And maybe that there's other coins that would go up because of casino culture, and people, the economy just being so bad that people are just so desperate to kind of get rich quick. And hey, I'm someone that kind of got rich quick, and everything, so I have sympathy for those people. And I was definitely, when I first got into Bitcoin, I thought it would go up in the same way, world peace would kind of happen. You kind of hope for it, you wish for it, but you're not quite sure if it actually will. But I think that is kind of the moral answer to your moral and correct answer to your question.
I appreciate this, and I know I just said this, but I appreciate that you're bringing us back to the foundations of Bitcoin and of what this industry was built on, because I think that we do get lost in the casino culture of it. So thank you for bringing us down that direction. Now, I have a follow-up question on the story you just told. I mean, given how you learned about Bitcoin, and why it sounds like you are so interested in the crypto space, what do you think of the institutional adoption of Bitcoin? What do you think of the launch of these ETFs? It sounds, well, it is kind of one of the antitheses of what Bitcoin was built on. So just curious to hear your thoughts there.
I mean, I think that it was inevitable, or hopefully inevitable, on that front. So I think it's great. I think the more people hear about Bitcoin, I think is great, because let's say maybe they get in via an ETF, and and I think that then that makes them more likely to actually hold something in their own wallet, right? Eventually, right? Maybe a percentage of those people actually decide to kind of get into it very directly. So I think it's great. I think that, again, I got into it because I'm a political junkie, and I was a political junkie at 12. I was a political junkie at 10, and all that. And then, this was kind of like, it's interesting to me, like the Libertarian Party is kind of electorally dead. Maybe that offends people in the US, but it kind of moved into something better, which was technology and Bitcoin and the crypto space and everything. And now, kind of many ways, Bitcoin is the Libertarian Party, although not completely, by any means. But it's kind of interesting in that front. So no, I'm pro institutions getting into it. I'm pro the more kind of institutional adoption, the more people hear about it, the more people actually get into it for, in my opinion, the original purpose of Bitcoin and kind of this space. So I think it's exciting. I think that's great, and I think it's wonderful.
Eric, we got to wrap up, but thank you so much for joining Markets Daily this morning. It was a pleasure.
Thank you so much.
And thank you to our audience for watching and coming on this journey with me. If you like Markets Daily, subscribe to the CoinDesk Podcast Network. That's available on all podcast platforms. And if you like watching, subscribe to our YouTube channel, give us a thumbs up. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. We will see you on Monday.